Why do you fear? Why do you tremble before imagined tomorrows? What power do you believe stands outside of you, shaping your destiny with cruel hands? Why do you lie awake at night, playing scenes of failure, loss, and rejection upon the screen of your mind, as though they were authored by some force beyond your control? Let me ask you, what if I told you that nothing you fear is real until you give it permission to be? That every trembling thought, every anxious breath, every imagined catastrophe is but your own consciousness misused? That fear itself is not an intruder, but a guest you have invited through the door of assumption? Tonight, I speak to you not as a teacher of concepts, but as a revealer of truth. The truth that Neville Goddard has always taught: consciousness is the only reality. There is no cause in the world but your own awareness of being. That which you claim to be, whether weak, strong, afraid, or free, becomes the law of your life. You are not the victim of circumstance. You are the author. You are not the effect. You are the cause. So when we speak of fear, we must not look out there. We must look in here. For nothing in the world has the power to make you afraid unless you accept that it does. Nothing. Not illness. Not poverty. Not loss. Not death itself. These are conditions, appearances, shadows on the wall. The real substance, the power that gives them form and weight, is your attention, your belief, your identification. You may say, "But Neville, the fear feels so real." And I say to you, it feels real because you made it real by imagining it with conviction, by feeling it with intensity. You have been taught since childhood to react to the world, to be at its mercy. But the great secret is that the world reacts to you. It is your consciousness made visible. Listen carefully. This is not a metaphor. It is law. It is the same law that causes the seed to become the tree, the thought to become the act, the unseen to become seen. If you dwell in fear, your world must become fearful. If you dwell in lack, your world must withhold. You cannot escape the mirror of consciousness. And why would you want to? Once you understand this truth, you are free. Because if the cause is within, the solution is within. Do not try to change the shadow. Change the light that casts it. Do not beg the mirror to smile. Smile and the mirror will reflect it. This is the teaching of Neville Goddard. And tonight, I am asking you to take your power back, not through effort, not through struggle, but through awareness, through remembering who you truly are. You are not a frightened creature wandering through a hostile world. You are the operant power. You are I am, the eternal presence that imagines and therefore creates. And as long as you imagine fear, you will live in it. But the moment you dare to imagine peace, the moment you feel yourself already free, the shackles fall away, not because something out there changed, but because you changed. I am not asking you to fight your fears. I am asking you to see through them, to recognize them as masks worn by forgotten parts of yourself, begging to be brought back into the light. When fear arises, do not condemn it. Observe it. Bless it. Know that it has no substance except that which you give it. Then turn inward and assume the state you wish to express. If you are afraid of lack, assume abundance. If you are afraid of illness, assume radiant health. If you are afraid of rejection, assume you are deeply loved. Not in some distant future, but now. Right now. For the present moment is the only doorway through which creation enters the world. You see, fear is always about the future, what might happen. But your power is always in the now, what is happening within you. When you withdraw your attention from fear and place it upon your desired state, you are not escaping reality, you are creating it. Because consciousness is not a response to the world. It is the cause of the world. So I ask you again, why do you fear? Who told you that you were powerless? Who convinced you that life is something to be survived, rather than expressed? It is time to reject this lie. It is time to remember what Neville Goddard taught, that you are not the reflection, you are the light. You are not the shadow, you are the source. You are not a creature of circumstance, you are the creator becoming aware of himself through the mask of human limitation. And when you know this, not believe it, not hope for it, but know it, fear dissolves. Not because it was conquered, but because it was never real to begin with. Only a dream, only a false assumption, only a forgotten truth longing to be remembered. Tonight, remember it. Assume the feeling of being fearless. Dwell in it, live from it, and let the world mirror back to you what it must. The reflection of your inner state made visible. You may believe that the world is happening to you, that your conditions, your finances, your relationships, your health are determining your inner state. But I tell you now, as Neville Goddard, this belief is the greatest illusion ever sold to man. The world does not cause your state of mind. Your state of mind causes the world you see. This is not an opinion. This is law. And when you understand this law, you will stop trying to change the reflection and begin to change the source, your consciousness. What you are conscious of being is what you outpicture in the theater of life. Your awareness, your I am, is not reacting to external facts, it is creating them. The condition you see today, no matter how firm or factual it appears, is the echo of a state of consciousness once assumed. Your life is nothing more than the harvest of imaginal acts. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are conscious of being. And so long as you believe that some outside circumstance holds the key to your freedom, you have chained yourself to an imaginary master. No person, no government, no diagnosis, no amount of money has any power unless you assign it power in your consciousness. And yet, how many people wait? Wait for the raise, the lover, the recovery, the applause, believing that only then will they feel secure, worthy, happy. They wait for the world to change so they can finally feel peace. But the law works in reverse. The world does not bring peace. Peace brings the world. Your inner state shapes your outer form. You may say, but Neville, the world is so convincing. Of course it is made from your own belief. But like a dream, it can only show you what you first dared to accept as true within. If you awaken in fear, that fear was not caused by the dream. It was carried into the dream by the dreamer, by you. This is why Neville Goddard always returned to the same principle. Change your conception of yourself, and you will automatically change the world in which you live. Your self-conception is your permission slip to reality. If you see yourself as anxious, unlucky, rejected, no amount of effort can permanently change your world, because your world is built by that inner image. To change the world, you must change yourself, not by will, not by force, but by assumption. Do not wait for the world to give you permission to be at peace. Give yourself that permission now. Assume the feeling of being already free, already whole, already safe, already abundant. Live from that state, not toward it, not in pursuit of it, but from it, as if it were already true. And I promise you, the world will bend to match the tone of your inner song. This is not positive thinking. It is not pretending. It is not lying to yourself. It is aligning with the deeper truth, the truth that consciousness is the only power, and your assumption is the only cause. The world is not your master. It is your mirror. So, when you face conditions that tempt you to fear, stop and remember. The condition is not the cause. Your consciousness is the cause. Shift the inner state and the outer must follow. You may not see it instantly, just as the seed does not sprout the moment it is planted. But the law is sure. The law is faithful. According to your faith, be it unto you. Every person you meet, every experience you have, every object you touch is yourself pushed out. There is nothing outside your consciousness. When you walk through life believing others are judging you, that the world is unsafe, that love is scarce, that health is fragile, you are not reading reality. You are writing it line by line with the ink of assumption. And now you are free to write anew. Stop chasing effects. Begin assuming causes. Your fear is not telling you the truth, it is telling you what you have believed. And belief can be changed. The moment you dare to believe differently, your world must respond. Let us never forget the central teaching of Neville Goddard. The imagination is God in action. Your imagination, sustained with feeling, becomes form. So stop imagining from fear and begin imagining from fulfillment. Choose now what you wish to be and assume it. Do not wait for the world to validate it within, and let the world reflect your certainty. When you understand this, you will not panic when problems arise. You will know that they are old manifestations, echoes of a consciousness you no longer claim. And you will hold your new state with confidence, knowing the law cannot fail. There is no greater power than your assumption sustained in feeling. That is creation. That is reality. That is who you are. Do you truly understand what it means to imagine? I am not speaking of idle daydreams, not the fleeting fantasies that flicker through the mind and vanish like smoke. I speak of something far greater, something sacred. I speak of the divine act of creation itself. And I tell you now, as Neville Goddard, that your imagination is God operating in you. It is not a lesser faculty. It is not decoration. It is not entertainment. It is the only creative power in the universe, and it resides in your wonderful human imagination. You may have been taught that imagination is for children. You may have been warned not to live in fantasy. But I am here to tell you, it is through imagination that all things are made. The worlds you walk in, the faces you see, the conditions of your life, these are imaginal acts brought to fruition through sustained inner belief. You do not see and then believe. You believe and then you see. Everything proceeds from within. If you are living in fear and anxiety, I say to you, examine what you are imagining. Your worry is not the product of the world, it is the world made from your worry. When you sit and envision worst-case scenarios, illness, rejection, failure, your body responds with tension, your breath shortens, and your heart beats faster. The body does not know you are only imagining. It responds as if what you see within is already true. And in time, if persisted in, that inner picture will become your outer experience. This is the law. But now I ask, what if you were to reverse that use of imagination? What if you no longer used it against yourself but in favor of yourself? What if you imagined not the disaster, but the deliverance? Not the failure, but the fulfillment? Not the illness, but the radiant health already yours? And what if, in that imaginal act, you truly felt it as real? Now, let me tell you what will happen. When you imagine with feeling, when you assume the wish fulfilled with conviction, you set in motion the law of consciousness. You plant a seed that must bear fruit. You will find the outer world shifting, adjusting, reshaping itself to mirror that new inner image. Not because you manipulated the outer world, but because you dared to imagine differently. This is the secret that all the scriptures point to. When Jesus said, "Whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours," he was not pointing to some future event. He was describing an imaginal act. He was teaching you to claim the feeling of the fulfilled desire now, to dwell in it, to abide in it until the world has no choice but to mirror it. Now, I am not suggesting you pretend. I am not asking you to lie to yourself. I am asking you to accept that imagination creates reality. This is not superstition. This is not wishful thinking. This is not mental trickery. This is the eternal law of being. You are not waiting for your desire, you are giving it life through your imaginal acceptance. The problem, for most people, is not that they lack imagination, it is that they use it unconsciously and destructively. They rehearse their failures. They reimagine their traumas. They anticipate rejection and humiliation. And then, with great sorrow, they wonder why life unfolds as it does. But life has no choice. Life is only ever echoing what you assume to be true within. So I ask you, what are you imagining right now? Right now, this very moment, what are you consenting to in your inner world? What conversations are you holding in the silence of your mind? What scenes are you replaying? What emotions are you feeling as if they were already true? You see, you cannot deceive consciousness. You may speak affirmations all day, but if you are feeling anxious beneath your words, then anxiety is the prayer you are offering. And every prayer is answered, not in words but in feeling. That is why Neville Goddard always emphasized feeling as the secret. Feeling is the creative bridge between the unseen and the seen. What you feel deeply, persistently, sincerely is what you express in your world. You are always assuming something. The only question is, are you assuming what you want or what you fear? Let us no longer use imagination against ourselves. Let us cease imagining the worst and begin to imagine nobly. See yourself as already victorious, already healed, already abundant, already loved. Not someday. Now. Assume the end. Live from the end. and let the end pull everything else into alignment. You do not need to know how it will unfold. The bridge of incidents will appear. Paths will open. People will show up. Circumstances will align. But none of this can happen until you first assume the state of being. That is the power of imagination. That is the law of consciousness. That is the teaching of Neville Goddard. You are not waiting on God. God is waiting on you to imagine rightly, to feel truly, to assume boldly. And when you do, you will discover what I discovered. That imagination, when aligned with feeling, is the very voice of God whispering creation into being. So tonight, as you prepare to sleep, do not enter unconscious. Enter deliberately. Enter the state of your wish fulfilled. Hear the congratulations. Feel the relief. Embrace the joy. Let it be real in you. And when it is real within, it must become real without. Because imagination is not an escape from reality. It is reality in its first and most powerful form. If you found yourself in a nightmare, pursued by shadows and surrounded by fear, what would you do? Would you wrestle with the monsters, plead with the dream, beg it to stop? Or would you do the only thing that truly ends the nightmare? You would wake up. And that, my dear friends, is the very thing I am asking you to do tonight. Wake up, for fear is a dream, anxiety is a dream, and your power does not lie in conquering the dream, it lies in remembering that you are the dreamer. This is the message I, Neville Goddard, have declared all my life. You are not a creature moving through the world, you are the world moving through the mind of a creator. The outer is only ever a reflection of the inner, and fear is not something you must defeat in the world. It is something you must disidentify with in yourself. So many suffer because they try to fix their fear with more thought, more effort, more control. But you cannot escape a dream by dreaming harder. You escape a dream by recognizing it for what it is, an imaginal construction, and then turning inward to the awareness that made it. Fear, no matter how real it seems, is not a condition of the world. It is a condition of consciousness. When you say, I am afraid, what are you really doing? You are claiming a state. You are declaring I am and attaching it to a limitation. And I have said it before, and I say it again now, whatever you attach to I am, you become. You are not the fear. You are not the anxiety. You are the I am itself, pure, undivided awareness. The fear is only a costume worn by that which is infinite and formless. The problem is not the emotion, it is the identification with the emotion. That is the dream. So how do we awaken? Not by struggle, not by force, not by resisting the fear, but by observing it calmly, gently, like watching a cloud drift across the sky. When fear arises, do not panic. Do not condemn yourself. Simply say, ah, this is a temporary state moving through my consciousness, but it is not me. The moment you say, this is not who I am, you create space between yourself and the fear. And in that space, you begin to remember your true nature. And from that remembrance comes power. You cannot fight darkness. You can only bring light. Likewise, you do not fight fear, you bring awareness. You turn your attention away from the fearful state and toward the state you desire. If you are afraid of illness, do not wrestle with the fear, turn inward and feel the state of radiant health. If you are anxious about money, stop rehearsing lack and instead enter the feeling of abundance. If you fear rejection, do not beg for approval, assume you are already deeply loved. I tell you, the moment you make this shift in consciousness, your world begins to reflect it. Not instantly, perhaps, but inevitably, because all things follow consciousness. This is the law. This is the teaching of Neville Goddard. You must understand. The fear feels strong only because you have given it your attention, your energy, your belief. But once you withdraw that attention, once you stop feeding the fear, it begins to wither. It loses its power. It fades, like a dream forgotten upon waking. And waking is what we are here to do. You may ask, but Neville, what if the fear keeps returning? Let it return. Let it pass through. But do not greet it as an honored guest. Do not sit with it and feed it. Simply recognize it as a traveler passing through the landscape of consciousness and then choose to dwell in the state that reflects your truth. the state of peace, the state of faith, the state of being already free. This is not denial. This is dominion. This is right use of imagination. And let me say this clearly. There is no virtue in clinging to fear, no nobility in suffering unnecessarily. Fear does not protect you. It binds you. And it is only when you release it through conscious assumption of a higher state that you begin to see clearly, act wisely, live fully. You cannot create joy from a foundation of dread. You cannot build love on a ground of insecurity. But the moment you return to your true identity, the I am that is never afraid, you find the peace that surpasses understanding. This is why I urge you to make no effort to fix fear on its own level. Do not analyze it. Do not relive it. Simply rise above it by assuming your rightful place as the operant power in your world. Fear only seems real because you are imagining from a state of separation. But separation is the illusion. Oneness is the truth. So do not resist the fear. Transcend it. Do not fight the dream. Wake from it. You are not the fearful personality. You are not the fragile ego. You are not the frightened voice in your head. You are awareness itself, infinite, creative, untouched. You are the dreamer, not the dream. And when the dream becomes a nightmare, it is not your job to wrestle with shadows. It is your opportunity to remember your authorship and choose a different dream. Choose the dream of love. Choose the dream of peace. Choose the dream of wholeness. And assume it now. Let it be real in you now. Because the moment you awaken to your true identity as the one who imagines, as the one who assumes, as the one who commands the state, the nightmare loses its grip. The fear dissolves. And in its place comes the stillness, the clarity, the quiet knowing that you are free. Not because you fought, but because you remembered. What if I told you that the peace you seek has never been missing, only overlooked? What if I told you that the wholeness you chase is not something to achieve, but something to remember? And what if the only thing standing between you and a life free from fear and anxiety is a single mistaken belief that you are separate, incomplete, powerless? Tonight, as Neville Goddard, I am not here to teach you how to become anything. I am here to remind you of what you already are. You are not the victim of the world. You are its source. You are not a small creature tossed by forces beyond your control. You are the divine awareness in which those forces arise. The entire world, with all its apparent problems and limitations, is nothing but the outpicturing of states of consciousness. And I say to you now, when you return to the knowledge of your true nature, fear and anxiety do not need to be conquered, they simply disappear. You see, fear cannot survive in the presence of truth. And the truth is, you are not broken. You are not weak. You are not incomplete. You are the operant power. You are the I am, the one reality from which all appearances flow. You have only forgotten, only identified with a character in the story, rather than the author of it. You may ask, but Neville, how do I live from this truth? And I say to you, not through effort, not through trying to fix what was never broken, but by resting in awareness. By remembering that what you are is being itself. All thoughts, all emotions, all sensations, even fear and anxiety come and go. But you remain. You, the awareness that sees them, are eternal, unchanging, and free. Fear is rooted in time, projects itself into an imagined future. But your true self lives only in the now. When you bring your attention fully to the present, this breath, this moment, this awareness, you step outside the illusion of time. And in that eternal now, fear has no place. Anxiety has no voice. Only peace remains. And let me be clear, this does not mean fear will never arise again. But when it does, it will no longer define you. It will no longer pull you into its story. You will observe it, allow it, and gently return to the stillness of your being. And in that stillness, something miraculous happens, not because you forced it, but because you surrendered to what is already true. This is not the path of striving. This is the path of remembrance. This is not the effort to become something new, it is the letting go of everything you are not. And every time you catch yourself in fear, every time you feel anxiety beginning to rise, that is your opportunity. Not to fight, not to fix, but to wake up, to remember, I am not this emotion. I am not this thought. I am not this condition. I am the awareness in which all of it appears and disappears. This awareness is your home. It is your source. It is your freedom. And the more you dwell in it not as a concept, but as a felt reality, the more the entire fabric of your life will shift. Relationships will soften. Health will return. Abundance will flow. Not because you chased them, but because you aligned with the truth that already contains them. So I leave you with this, my friends. The secret to living without fear and anxiety forever is not in mastering the mind, but in transcending it. It is not in adding anything to yourself, but in letting go of what you never were. You are not the frightened self, the worried self, the lacking self. You are the one who is aware of those selves, and therefore you are beyond them. And from that knowing, you become unshakable. You begin to live not from resistance, but from presence. Not from fear, but from trust. Not from lack, but from the awareness of eternal supply. And as you live from that place, you will no longer fear what tomorrow holds, because you will know, I am the one who holds tomorrow. If this message resonated with you, if it stirred something ancient and eternal within you, I invite you to subscribe to this channel and like this video. Not for me, but for the version of you that is awakening. Stay with this truth. Revisit it. Let it take root in you, and you will discover what I have always taught, that imagination creates reality, and you are far more powerful than you have ever dared to believe.